One house. So can anybody define for me what aviation is? Aviation 101 class is going to be an interactive session. So, and it's also going to be a video class. When Instructor Ifeanyi was taking the Tourism 101 class in the morning, he started with the definition. So I want to know, what do you think is the definition of aviation? Any response is welcome. No response is no response will be ignored. Virtual participants, does anyone want to respond? What is aviation? Let me check the chat room. The what? The art of flying aircrafts. That's not bad. Any other response? What is aviation? Okay, Kingdom Ejiobo says aviation refers to the operation and use of aircraft, including airplanes, helicopters, and other flying machines for various purposes, such as transportation, cargo delivery, recreation, etc. I would like you to write that definition down if you are a physical participant. That's a very good one. Another person says aviation is the flying or operation of aircraft. That has been said here by someone who is physically on ground. Miss or Mrs. Ada Catherine says the art of operating an aircraft. Someone said we have been ready since 1990. Apologies for that downtime. It was a very serious network itch that we have. So right now we have to shut down Spectranet, shut down MTN. We are on Airtel. So we are fully prepared. Whatever angle technology comes to, if Glow is going to work tomorrow, we will subscribe. So just be patient with us, the virtual participant. The physical participant here, we are actually keeping them waiting because we want to carry you along. So we need you to be lenient on us, because one thing that we are all battling with, that we hope Nigeria get better with first, is internet connection. If that can be solved, we are good. So let me read that definition again. It's by Kingdom Ejiobo. I want to believe, I know it's a Google definition, because I know the definition of aviation, the professional one, and the one on Google. But I would still like you to write it down because it's a comprehensive one. Aviation is the field of flying and operating aircrafts. Aviation is the field of flying and operating aircraft. The word flying and operating, very, very important. If you say flying without operating, you have not actually defined it completely. Aviation is the what? The field of flying and operating an aircraft, including airplanes. So when you say aircraft, you are referring to everything that flies that is man-made. So you cannot say that an eagle is an aircraft. An eagle or a bird is not man-made. Everything that is man-made that flies is what? An aircraft. So aviation refers to the field of flying and what? And operating an aircraft, including what? Airplanes, helicopters, and other flying machines for various purposes such as transportation, which is the major one. The major purpose of aviation is first of all primarily transportation. And when you say transportation, you don't need to even say cargo delivery, because transportation is movement of people and goods. So when you are saying cargo delivery, you're already bringing specialization into that definition. So just say aviation is what? The field. I like the word field because it tells you that it is a career. Is that okay? It gives you that understanding that aviation is what? Is a career. All right. So it is the field of what? Flying and operating an aircraft, including airplanes, helicopters, and all flying machines. Put it there in your definition. Write that definition down. Because I will ask you in the assignments that I will give you. And all what? Flying machines. It includes everything from manufacturing and design of aircraft to piloting, air traffic control, and marketing and management. Yes. It includes everything from manufacturing, design of aircraft, to piloting, air traffic control, management, marketing, administration, and leadership. So I've mentioned critical things there. Manufacturing and designing of aircraft, so piloting and air traffic control. So what again? Marketing, management, administration, and what? And leadership. Because that's why I say I know that this definition was from Google. So I have updated that definition that was dropped by Adola, training ID 096. So thank you very much. 2 people are giving me a definition that I'm using to start this class, and they are both future participants. ID 062 Kingdom Ijobo and ID 096 Adola. Thank you. You've made my class easy. So what is missing in your definition now is the fact that aviation does not only include manufacturing and designing of aircraft, it not only include the piloting of the aircraft and the traffic management, which is called air traffic control. Aviation also includes the what? The marketing, the management, the administration, and the what? Leadership. So you can agree with me that aviation, I want to now give you, having given you that definition, I want to now summarize for you that aviation is the art, the commerce, and the science of flying. Hello? Aviation is what? The art, the commerce, and the science of flying. Now, what does that tell you? That tells you that no matter whatever discipline you find yourself, that you belong, there is always going to be a career pathway for you in the aviation industry. And that is the reason why I wanted everybody to attend this class. Because on the surface, it is very easy for you to conclude that aviation is strictly for pilots. When you hear the word aviation, what comes to mind first? Piloting. But I said something in the morning. I said the Airbus A380, that is the biggest passenger plane in the world, all right, was designed for the purpose of what? Serving a very higher maximum load capacity of passengers. It was designed on the business model that there are certain routes in the world that are very busy routes, e.g., London to Dubai, London, New York. Toronto, Shanghai. Toronto, Shanghai. Yes, Toronto to China. Hello, am I communicating here? London, Singapore. These are routes that there are heavy words, traffic, and the use of smaller wide body plane is not actually yet enough to handle capacity of such particular routes, especially the one that you mentioned, London, New York, London, Dubai. We have about 20 of those routes like that the Airbus A380 was created for them. Now, for everything that we go into the engineering of that plane, as gigantic as it is, all right, a school of thought says an A380 is as tall as a 8-story building. Another school of thought will tell you that it's as tall as a 3-story building. Actually, it depends on the structure of the story building first, all right? But minimally, an Airbus A380 is as high as a 3-story building, to the extent that you need to construct another terminal to be able to accept, to undo an Airbus A380. I'm not sure there's any terminal in Nigeria, in both Lagos and Abuja airport, that can handle Airbus A380. I'm not sure yet. I don't want to make any claim because there's a lot of innovation that has happened. But recently, I'm not sure yet that you said. I didn't what? It has come before, but what I'm saying is that there is no terminal yet that can handle. It has come. A380 has come on ceremonial flights, the same way with Boeing 777. Those are the two biggest aircraft that we have. Boeing 777, Airbus A380. Those are the two biggest planes, commercial passenger aircrafts. We call them airliners. Those are the two, Airbus and, in fact, Airbus did theirs. I think Airbus started their own, then Boeing came up with 77. All right. So now the reason why I'm using this particular example to explain to you why aviation is not only in the science, but it's also in the commerce and the heart. So the fact that they saw a need, that we need a bigger, mega size plane to serve busy routes, so that you can have, instead of having a Boeing 737 that can do maximum 250 seats, let's have an Airbus A380 that can do double of that size. So we're able to serve the market. That is a business a model. That is commerce. Am I correct? Now, that commerce, that business model requires a marketing to sell the aircraft to the airlines. Because there is this marriage between, I'm going to teach you very shortly, these stakeholders in the aviation industry. All right. So there is this marriage that exists between airlines and airports, and then between airlines and aircraft manufacturers. They are like two men married to the same woman. Yeah. They are always taking. They are married. It's a very special marriage. Airlines, aircraft manufacturers, and airports. All right. So the aircraft manufacturers, if we build an A380, we can use it to serve social routes. So they built it. But before they build it, they have to consider, number one, how many airlines are flying that route? Which airline will buy the aircraft? Hello? No aircraft manufacturer goes to manufacture a plane without 4 of us having marketing order on ground. The only thing they can do is they will put their money into producing a prototype, a model. All right. And then they now invite airlines to come. Airlines that will eventually use the plane. They invite them and then tell them, they'll pitch to them, this is the aircraft we want to come out. As you and I are talking right now, there are different aircraft sale deals that are being pitched between airlines and manufacturers right now. So they will tell you, oh, this is what we want to do with this aircraft, and we know that you will need it and all that. Yeah, manufacturer does not have the money to build the planes in numbers, but they will invest money to build a prototype, right? And then they'll call the airlines that want to buy and ask them to bring their money. So let's assume you are Emirates and she's British Airways and you are Ethiopia Airlines. So Emirates Airlines say, okay, I need 10 of the aircrafts. British Airways says, I need 7. Ethiopia will say, oh, we are serving African markets, but because of our China routes, we need 3. So they'll collect the money from all the 3 airlines based on the number of orders, like a down payment. And then go to the engineers and put that money into. So when the aircraft is fully delivered, then the airline has to what? Pay the balance. But everything that is happening between the 2 of them, if they leave out the grandfather out in that relationship, they are both going to be in trouble. Who is the grandfather of the 2 of them? I'm talking about a relationship between 3 entities. I want to be sure you are following me. Yes, Mr. Okerete. Sorry, I'm not pronouncing your name very well. Hot air balloon is under aviation. Yeah. Aviation is the field of flying and everything that flies. So I was talking about 3 entities. Who can tell me online? What are the 3 entities in aviation I was talking about? And I said they are in a special marriage. Mr. Liu, you want to try? Aircraft manufacturers, airlines, and what? And airports. So that relationship between the 2 of them, they must carry along the landlord. The what? Airports. Why? Because after the airline has purchased the aircraft and the manufacturer has delivered, the airline does not have its own parking space to put that aircraft. So if you ask me, out of these 3 in aviation, as far as the science, the commerce, and the arts is concerned, the most important entity is which one of them? Which of the 3? The airport. But somehow, the airport is the landlord that doesn't make noise in the industry. It's not a partner. The airport is not a partner in that relationship. The airport is the grandfather. It's just, you must come back to the airport. Am I communicating? I can tell you gladly that 50% of the revenue of the airline, the money that airline makes, 50% of it goes to the what? Airport. So in the designing of the A380, between the manufacturer and the airline, if they don't want to have trouble, they have to call the airport operators. So that is the reason why for every airport in the world that can serve an A380, like Dubai International Airport, like New York International, Terminal 8 that ADUS A380, London Heathrow, and the 10 mega airports that serve an A380, they were all consulted during the time that the A380 was being designed. Because the A380 requires special handling facilities. So they have to build special terminals, special bridge, special ground vehicles. So it was a massive, it was the biggest investment of, in fact, the biggest gamble. Because unfortunately, according to a report by Airbus itself, the A380 may not continue to fly for more than 2025. Because they gambled in the commerce. So it happened that the cost of flying an A380, the cost of operating it is much more than the demand for it. So it was the biggest commercial gamble of this current century, 21st century that we are. The day I saw that report, I was shocked that the A380 may not fly more than 2025. Because most of the airlines that ordered for A380, most of them are not making the ROI, return on investment. Very expensive plane, cost about $400 million for one A380, factory price, like out of production price, $400 million. So now, why did I say all that? I say all that to bring you to the major entities in aviation, major stakeholders in aviation. We have, after those three I've mentioned, we have two more of them, the air traffic control. Write it down. We have moved from definition to major entities in aviation already. So if you have writing, you should do that. All right, thank you. Damlola, Afsat, Apan, Victoria, Precious White. You guys are following. You guys are following. So I've mentioned three major entities in the aviation industry, starting with the what? Aircraft manufacturers, airlines, and airports. Two more. When I say major, I mean the major, the people that they are without them, the aviation industry does not exist. So number 4 is air traffic control. Number 5 is ground handling companies. Ground handling companies or ground handlers, simply. So who can explain to me the difference between, let me put a little bit of interaction into it. So who can explain the difference between air traffic control and airports? And airports. Mm-hmm. Their job is to control the airplanes, no more, no less. I hope those online can listen to your contributions. Please, if you are online, please, I want you to respond to that question. What's the difference between the airports and air traffic control? What differentiates the two of them? We know that air traffic control towers are always located in the airport, right? But what differentiates the two of them that stands them out? So I have a very interesting contribution here already. So let me have your response online. Yes. Airport is structure on ground.
Air traffic controllers, people that communicate with the pilot for the plane to taxi.
Very, very correct. You are very correct, but you have not hit the nail on the head. Okay. Madam Apan Victoria, can you please share? There is no slide for Aviation 101. It's just an interactive class. So you should form your notes. If you are depending on slide for Aviation 101, you are joking. Get your hardcover note and your pen and write. I still have some critical points to give you before this class will end around maybe 3:30. Okay, so there's no slide. When I went into my material, I didn't even know where I would take it from. I have a bulky library of aviation fundamentals. So I just want to give you the basics, and then we move on. All right. So if you really want to know about aviation fundamental, is a course on its own that ICAO is selling for $250. So you may want to subscribe. Just go to, yes, I can show you on the screen. $250 by ICAO. So, but if you want to learn that course thoroughly so that you will be able to know the intricacies, then you can just pay TBS 50K for a master class on aviation, just the fundamentals alone. It's my most interesting class. I'm still a pilot, even though now I'm in tourism, but I'm still a pilot. And what fascinates me is because I was able to, like I said in the morning, I'm one of the few persons that I have seen the three. Please, can I get a bottle of water for her? I've seen the three industries up close and personal. So it intrigues me how interconnected they are, and yet they are very independent. They are very complex on their own. It's a mystery. It's what makes the three industries very beautiful. So I was asking that what is the difference? What differentiates the airport from air traffic control? You have all given me beautiful comments, but somehow I'm not satisfied with your response yet. Gloria Nwabueze says that air traffic control is the tactical real-time control of aircraft, while airports are authorized spaces for aircraft takeoff and landing. Nice one. That's a Google response. All right. Airport is where aircraft lands and receive passengers. That's correct. Someone says that airport is a place where planes land and take off. Air traffic controllers are responsible for the separation and efficient of movement of aircraft. You guys have still not told me what I want to hear. Yeah, you have all made very correct points, but you've not answered the question. The answer is very simple, and you will be surprised. Airports, listen carefully and write. Even though I say it's an interactive class, don't forget that there's no slide, so you have to write. The airport is responsible for movement of aircrafts on ground, while the air traffic control is responsible for the movement of aircraft in air. Simple. The airports, either you want to say separation, landing, takeoff, it doesn't matter. Okay? The airport is responsible for movement of aircrafts on ground. And when you say movement of aircraft, movement of aircrafts are in all type of forms. Landing is an aircraft movement. Takeoff is an aircraft movement. Taxiing is an aircraft movement. Am I communicating? Yes. Once you now leave the ground, you now go to descending, ascending, and cruising. Those are the three aircraft movements in the air. You see that you descend, you ascend, or you cruise at, we call it cruise level field at altitude about 40,000. And it is at that cruise level that air traffic control now can do separation. But primarily, what separates the two of them is just the space where they operate from. Airport operates on ground. Now, take note of that definition very well. It's very important that you get the in between the line definitions. I said the airport is responsible, and that word responsible is very key. Because in aviation, there is what we call the line of responsibility. And until when an accident happens, you will not understand that line. It is well defined. When an accident happens, all right, the accident investigation authorities will now separate the lines where and who was at fault. Was it air traffic control? Was it the airline? Was it the pilot? Was it the airport? So there is responsibility. And that is why I was saying earlier in the pre-virtual chat that one of the things that stands us out for all other industries is our ability to have zero tolerance for non-compliance with procedures. If there's any industry that cannot tolerate people circumventing, shortcutting procedures and process, is the aviation industry, because lives are dependent on it. Fatalities can happen. So when we ask people to put their ID, must not share the stuff, come only, we are just trying to demonstrate for you what compliance with procedure is all about. We're not trying to make this difficult. We're just trying to build a culture, because the culture of safety and compliance does not start when you are now become the airport's grand controller, or when you have now become an aircraft marshaller. No, it starts from classroom. It starts from training. So I think I've given you that definition. Do you want me to repeat it? The airport is responsible for movement of aircraft on ground, while the air traffic control is responsible for movement of aircraft in the air, or you can say in the airway, because there is a road in the sky. Aircraft don't fly everywhere in the air. There is a road that has been mapped. Yes, they fly around. So that takes me to the last entity I want to talk about, the ground handling companies. Have you written that? We are talking about major entities in the aviation industry. And I've given you 5 of them. Who can mention them? I've given you 5 major entities in the aviation industry. Good. Monsieur Joseph said airport is the venue where aircraft activities and management take place, while air traffic control is a section of management of aircraft movement. Yes, you are correct. But for my explanation now, you know that both airport and air traffic control handles aircraft movement. It is just that their space and scope of operation are different. Very simple. So I want to appreciate all of you for every comment you have made so far. This is a very admin. This class is very interactive. The chat room is very busy. I'm very happy. So thank you all. Yes, I've mentioned 5 entities. Now, don't expect me to mention travel agents as major entities. I'm not going to mention travel agent as major entities. But if you want to now look at the commerce of the aviation side, then you will mention travel agencies. So everything that has to do with ticketing, reservation, the marketing of airline seats, that battered IATA's billing settlement plans to have all matter of levels of accreditation for travel agencies to sell tickets, non-IATA agencies, IATA agencies, and all that, selling of tickets, reissuing, revalidating, the confirmation, and all that. They are all in the commercial aspect of aviation industry. So write down travel and tourism. Travel and tourism is a subset of commercial aviation. Subset, yes, of commercial aviation, because commercial aviation is very, very wide. Because in the first place, ma and sir, if there is no aircraft manufacturer and there is no airline, there will be no travel agent. Am I communicating? So someone asked yesterday on the paid participant group, and it was asking the difference between travel agents and I've forgotten that question. And I said, I responded that a travel agent simply sells airline seats. That's all. Now, imagine all the resources that is available, that has been created into selling tickets. Airlines sell on their website. It is because of commercial aviation that we have GDS. You know how many GDS that we have? You know how many OCLAs we have now? DMCs and all of them. All the suppliers that we have on that tourism supply chain class we had in the morning, we were all talking about the commercial aspect of aviation. If there is no aviation, tourism will be limited to domestic tourism. Am I correct? So that is why it was important for anybody that attended the class in the morning to also be here in the afternoon to hear what I'm saying. Because aviation is actually what gives wings to tourism. There are certain destinations you cannot go to Europe by road except you are looking for asylum and want to die in the desert. You know, people do that. You know how many Africans have died in the Libya desert? Plenty. Now, the art of the aviation, let me explain that because I'm doing three things in one. You know, I'm taking you in between the definition of aviation, the major entities in aviation, while at the same time, I'm already explaining the specializations in aviation, which I'm going to next. But the art of aviation is everything that goes into the design. When you say art, then what comes to your mind is what? Design. So aviation is not just about manufacturing, which is the science part, the engineering part, right? But there is a design. As a pilot, I know what differentiates an Airbus aircraft from a Boeing aircraft. An Airbus aircraft has a rounded nose. A Boeing aircraft has a cone nose. When I look up in the sky to around an airport and, probably around Ikeja in Lagos, an aircraft is coming, I can tell by the nose if it's a Boeing or an Airbus. Why? Because there is a design. Okay. Boeing aircraft carries their engine mid-wing. Airbus aircraft carries their engine mostly a little bit tilted to the front, to the aft of the aircraft. The interior, the lighting, the ambience of an aircraft all goes into the what? The heart. So when the engineers have finished the fuselage, I won't be able to teach you the parts of an airplane. It will be too aeronautic for you. It will be too aeronautic, so it will be beyond the scope of the class. So when the engineers are done with the fuselage or the structural component of the aircraft, then they hand it over to the designers who will design the interior. I want you to go on YouTube and look for the renovation of Trump's airplane. That Boeing 757 Trump's. You're going to find it very fascinating. I've watched a 1-hour video on that. Write it down. Yes, the renovation of Trump 757. You know, Donald Trump has a private plane that is a Boeing. Go and see the video on how they renovated it and changed the whole interior into gold. Yeah, 757. And there are Boeing 757, yes. There are not many Boeing 757s. Most of the Boeing 757s were converted to 777 or 767. But Trump is one of the people that has maybe the remaining 5 or 10 757s in the world. And is the one that has it as a private plane. People buy private jets for private plane. Donald Trump bought a commercial jet for private plane. His own. That's why he's my best president. As I'm here, don't be surprised. Tinubu is not my president. Neither is he Biden. My president is Trump. I think I'm looking for trouble now because some Tinubu people are coming for me here in this class. So please, let's edit that part. I didn't say that. Did I say that? I didn't say that. So that concludes the class on the major entities, grant handling companies. So now, grant handling companies are the people who makes the turnaround of an aircraft possible. Write that down. Under grant handling companies. Grant handling companies are responsible for aircraft turnaround. So you will all agree with me that I have explained to you why aviation is an art, is a commerce, and a science. True or false? Have I explained that? Yes or no? Virtual participants, have I explained the reason why aviation is art, commerce, and science? Ground handling companies are responsible for aircraft turnaround. All right. Thank you. Thank you, SARS and Mass Online. So if you are online, make sure you get that definition of ground handling companies very well. Ground handling companies are responsible for the what? Turnaround of an aircraft. They are not responsible for the movement of an aircraft, unlike the airports. They are not responsible for movement of an aircraft, unlike the airline. They are responsible for the what? Turnaround. So every activity around, so what is turnaround? That's the next thing that comes to mind, right? Is it for someone to turn around like this? No. Turnaround is an aviation fundamental terminology that refers to everything, every activity that must be done in order to get an aircraft prepared for its next flight. All activities, processes, procedures, whatever that an aircraft must go through in terms of handling, in terms of documentation, in terms of certification, all right? Everything that an aircraft must go through or that must be done on an aircraft to prepare the aircraft for what? The next flight. So let me give you 5 major ground handling activities. I'm trying my best not to take you too much into aviation management. I want to stay in fundamentals. So, but if I don't give you the 5 major ground handling activities, you will not appreciate the definition. That definition will still be too academic for you. I want to break it down because it's a fundamental class. So when you want to prepare an aircraft for the next flight, the first thing you do is refueling, fueling or refueling, right? That's number 1. Fueling or refueling. It's either the aircraft is refueling or it's just fueling because it might actually be the first flight that aircraft is taking for the day and is fueling up for a trip from Lagos to Atlanta. That is about 16 hours trip because Lagos to New York is 13 hours. So Atlanta, additional 3 hours. That's 16 hours. So the second activity is aircraft cleaning. Aircraft cleaning. The third one is aircraft boarding and deplaning. Boarding and deplaning. So you notice that for passengers to deplane or to board an aircraft, 2 things must be involved. 2 equipment are needed. Did you get that? Number 3, Mr. Lee? Aircraft boarding and deplaning. You don't say boarding and onboarding. I'm using terminologies already. So if there's any document I will give you that I can promise you, I'm going to give to you for Aviation 101. I will give you terminologies. Okay? Terminologies in aviation fundamentals so that you will be able to become familiar with all the terms I'm using. All right? So The third activity of ground handling is what? Aircraft boarding and deplaning. And for that to happen, you need two major equipments to do that. You see that you use the air bridge or you use the STS. How many of you have walked through an air bridge before? Air, Alpha India Romeo bridge, normal bridge. And then STS. Alpha India Romeo, Sierra Tango Alpha India Romeo Sierra. Like, are you lost? Yes. Don't lost, please. You are never. Alpha India Romeo, Sierra Tango, Alpha India Romeo Sierra. I think it's good that there's no slide for this class, because if not, you will probably not get to hear all these things, because you just be looking at the screen, you will not write. This is what makes it a training, when you have something to write. Am I correct? All right. So how many of you have walked through an air bridge to board your plane before? It's not the stairs, it's the bridge. It is not stair. All right. So an air bridge is that tunnel that passengers walk through that connect the airport terminal to the aircraft door. Listen in between the lines. The air bridge is that tunnel that passengers walk through to board the aircraft. It is connecting the airport terminal to the aircraft door, not to the aircraft, because passengers will fall down. If you connect the air bridge to the aircraft only, and it is not aligned, there is a whole lot of manpower and personnel involved, professionals that make sure that the air bridge aligns with the aircraft door. That's why if you have been at an airport before, you see different air bridge of different lengths and different curves. You see some air bridges will be at a 45-degree angle. Some will be at 30-degree angle. Why? Because they are built for different configuration of aircrafts. Like I was telling you about A380, right? The A380's air bridge is completely going to be very higher than normal. And it may be higher than the airport terminal itself. That's why you need to build a new terminal to service an A380 because of the height. So that tunnel. So, but I don't want to spend time. That's why I'm not going to do terminologies, because if I want to take you aviation fundamental terminologies, it will be a 6 hours class. So I don't want to confuse you. I want to educate you, not to convince. I want to educate you. Online, are we still together? Did you get that definition of air bridge? Ada Catherine said the air bridge is the walkway to the aircraft. It leads you to the plane itself. The stairs too is the stairs you climb. Fantastic, simple layman. Thank you, Madam Catherine, for helping me to preach this message. Thank you very much. All right. But I need to let you, in explaining to you Aviation 101, I cannot but do without using the terminologies. It's very, very important, because it will be unprofessional for me to say that it is the walkway that takes you to the aircraft. No, it doesn't take you to the aircraft. It connects you to the what? Aircraft door. Because the only way to board is through the what? Through the door. Now, if you are not using an air bridge, you will use an air stairs. How many of you have flown Green Africa before? You flew Green Africa. You don't need a bridge for Green Africa, right? An airport vehicle will transit you from the airport terminal to the what? To the stairs. And then you climb to board. How did we get on that? We got on that by talking about the third major activity of ground handling companies. Do you remember? So what's number one? The first activity. fueling and refueling. Number 2, aircraft cleaning. Number 3, aircraft boarding and deplaning. Number 4, aircraft servicing and maintenance. There are some very, very last minute quick maintenance that engineers need to do on the aircraft. Aircraft servicing or maintenance. Especially when an aircraft, take for example, every flight that goes to Heathrow from Abuja always travel, it's always going to be a night flight. Am I correct? Now, that aircraft is not going to arrive in the evening. No. Are you aware? That aircraft will bring passengers from Heathrow, from New York. It will be in the morning. And it will be there because it's an international flight. Because the turnaround time that is needed for an international flight is much more than that of a domestic flight. Hello? So when an aircraft like that flight, what's the name of that flight that usually goes to Heathrow? Is it BA 756 or BA 72? Now, that flight is going to be available latest by 9:11 a.m. It is already at Nnamdi Azikiwe for engineers to do critical maintenance. Because if any small boat is not well noted properly, it can lead to fatalities. They will check it very well. It's not that. It's not because they don't want anything that will make that aircraft not to return. In fact, they prefer for that aircraft to break down in Frankfurt than for it to break down in Abuja. Am I communicating here? Because there are no facilities for a servicing or a maintenance for a major breakdown in Nigeria. Nigeria is not an aircraft manufacturing country. Any country that doesn't manufacture aircraft cannot do aircraft maintenance thoroughly. They can only do surface. The only organization that is the best aircraft maintenance, repair, and overhauling organization in Nigeria that we have is Aero Contractors. Those days then, when Nigeria aviation was the pride of Africa, they bring planes all over. Here now, we brought Ethiopia Airlines to come and do a demo flights as Nigeria Air. Then they bring aircraft from Europe, bring aircraft from all over West Africa and Africa to come and service in Nigeria. But not anymore. With the demise of Nigerian Airways also went the demise, because when there are no aircraft to service, that skill, all those professionals they have jackpot before jackpot started safe. So turnaround is very key for an international airline. So aircraft servicing and maintenance. So there are, those are ground handling companies that we quickly do, some minor, pre-flight checks and all that is very, very important. And the number 5, the fifth one I'm going to give you is aircraft water servicing. Aircraft water servicing and catering. In fact, you may take out aircraft maintenance and servicing out of the duties of our aircraft handling companies. Aircraft water servicing and aircraft catering. That makes it number 6. Yes. All the food you eat on board an aircraft, all the wine, the beverages, the food and beverages, there are aircraft catering companies that is their job, to stock and restock different aircrafts in readiness for their next flight. Very good question. If you are online, the question that has just been asked is, why do they give you very, very small food while you are on board? It's a very simple It's a very simple reason. It's a very good question. All right, because you're supposed to be comfortable. You pay so much money for a ticket and you want some comfortability. But let me answer by telling you that the time will never come when comfortability and customer service will be compromised for safety. So the first reason why your meal will never be bulky on an aircraft is for safety. Number one, safety. Why? Because every aircraft have what we call maximum takeoff weight. So the more the food and beverage they load on the aircraft, the lesser the number of passengers they can carry. Because the aircraft must not be what? Overloaded. So if the total load capacity of the aircraft is 500,000 tons, and you have spent out of 500,000 tons, the fuselage of the aircraft itself, which is the tier weight, is already about 50,000. So you have 450,000 tons left. Out of 450,000, you want to reserve a larger portion, 60% of that weight for passenger load, not cargo load. Because the beverage, the drinks that are even loaded on aircraft is cargo load. And it is not payload. Airline is interested in payload. Payload is the load capacity that brings revenue, which is what the passenger and the cargo that is to be delivered as a payload. You know, there is cargo that brings revenue. There is cargo that is not bringing revenue. Take, for example, the food and beverage that they are giving you on board is not bringing revenue to the aircraft because they are spending. But when they have parcels, cargo that people are taking to London, carry, flowers, fruits that people are sending, because passenger aircraft also carry cargo, right? So that cargo is payload plus the load capacity of the passengers. So there is payload and there is non-revenue load. Now, the airline will not sacrifice safety for your comfort. Any aircraft that does that, we have fatalities. Because one thing that distinguishes the aviation industry and makes it the safest means of transportation is because we don't joke with what? Safety protocols. So let me quickly give you, we'll round up here. This is already 3:13. Okay. Metrology falls under weather aviation. That's one side of the question. Emeka Iweka, where does metrology fall in the aviation industry? Metrology is under the branch of aviation called airspace management. And I want to go, I'm going to end up the class on that. Ojeka Andrew, yes, you got it. Number 5 is aircraft water servicing. Number 6 is aircraft catering services. I want you to take out number 4. Number 4 is not a ground handling activity. Aircraft servicing and maintenance. Take it out. Aircraft servicing and maintenance is not a ground handling activity. So cancel it. I'm not going to sacrifice my professionalism in order to look good. All right, because this class is being recorded. So cancel number 4, right? So that means I've given you 5 now, right? Number 1, fueling and what? Refueling. Number 2, aircraft what? Cleaning. Number 3, aircraft boarding and deplaning. Number 4, aircraft water servicing. Number 5, aircraft catering. Very, very important. Very, very what? Important. So let me quickly give you the branches of aviation, and then I'll finish the class on specializations in aviation. So I will give you the branches of aviation in their categories. So category 1 is based on passenger and cargo. So right, there is passenger aviation and there is cargo aviation. Take note, the next topic we are treating now is branches of what? Aviation. And they are in categories. All right? They are in what? Categories. So we have the what? Passenger aviation and what? Cargo aviation. That's category 1. Do I need to explain that? Does it need explanation? I already did, right? Passenger aviation is the aspect of aviation that deals with passenger, everything passengers, aviation security, aviation safety, airline ticketing, airline reservation, everything that has to do with what passenger aviation is what is a branch on its own. It's a business. There are certain people that all their life, all their 57 years they have spent in the aviation industry, they have been with passenger aviation. Those of you that you are travel agents, but you don't sell cargo and logistics services, you will die in passenger aviation. No, I'm just being I'm just being funny, right? But that is what you are doing. Ticketing, GDSs. It's passenger what? Aviation. I have sub-agents that work with me that do not only sell tickets, but they also sell cargo services. I have a friend who also have an aviation school like myself, but he does cargo what? Services. How do you get 3 bags of gari to the United States from Abuja? How do you get poundo fufu or poundo potato to Canada? Those are some people's livelihood. I was online I think it was last week. I saw an advert pop up on my YouTube while I was watching a video on cybersecurity. So the advert popped up, export and sell. The training is happening here in Abuja, 30,000 naira training, how to export products from Nigeria to the United States, how to have yourself on Amazon, to sell your product on Amazon, and how to get your products certified by FDA in the US. Very fantastic training. Unfortunately, the training went to clash with World Tourism Day activities. It's happening on 28th of this month. So I told them that I will attend the next one. You're not the only one that is paying for training. There are training everywhere. I was very interested in the training because I went to research the organization, Export and Sell. You can Google it. I went to research the organization. They are very authentic and they are working with Nigerian Export Promotion Council already. So, if you are interested in cargo logistics, and especially when you say cargo aviation, you have to look at all the aspects, the imports, the exports, the transits. I don't want to go into that. Aviation is a very wide industry and it's the most complicated of all the 3. That's why I am so happy. I am privileged to be a trainer for the 3 sectors and also the safest. So what was I talking about? So I'm talking about export and sell advert for how to ship your product to the airport, to the US. That there's a very big market of Nigerians in US who needs Nigerian products and you can make money there. So I've given you that as a bonus if you are part of this training. If you didn't pay for this training, you won't hear that, right? I won't go and mention that on the group. So what are we talking about? Branches of aviation. Admin, time me. Once it's 3:30, let me know. I have 10 minutes more for this class. Let me know. So the second branch of aviation I want you to be aware of is the aeronautic aviation and non-aeronautic aviation. Did you hear what my admin said? She said she's interested in aeronautics. So, growing up, I wanted to be 2 things in my life, either a doctor or a pilot. And I ended up as a pilot. I ended up as a pilot accidentally, actually. I didn't actually started out to be a pilot. It was accidental. So, but I am happy I did. And maybe piloting will be in our next aviation empowerment training for December 7th. Because a lot of people, I get people accost me all the time. I want to be a pilot. And how do I go about it? They don't know how to go about it. All right. You need to be prepared before you dabble into piloting. You need to be financially prepared. Very, very important. For someone like myself, I wasn't financially prepared. I wasn't. So I have a friend that is still studying piloting since 2019. He has not finished in Daytona Beach, Florida. He has not finished. So I told him, you better go and marry. He said he has used the money for his wedding to pay for flight time. Is building his hours, because you need to have 1,500 hours before an airline can even check your CV. A commercial airline. All those. No, after you have finished class, you have graduated piloting school, you need to spend some time flying and building your hours. That is where the challenge is. So if you don't have money to build hours, don't start. Thank you very much. Your money. You even pay insurance for that 1 hour flight that you are paying for. To add 1 hour to your flight hours. It's not a rip-off. Hello? It's not a rip-off. It's not a rip-off. The cheapest private jet costs $250 million. You won't give $250 million item to somebody who has not been properly trained. So in piloting, it's not about your certificate. It's about your flight time. How many hours? So before an airliner like Emirates, I don't know how many hours Arik and Epis takes. I'm talking of international aviation. Anything I'm giving you in these classes, you see, I've not used the example of any Nigerian. Because I didn't do flight training in Nigeria in the first place. So before an airliner will accept and check your CV, they are looking for 1,500 hours. Except they decide to lower the requirement by themselves. So it's a specialized field and it's a very interesting field. But once you can fly, you can fly. It depends on what type of aircraft you can fly. I won't ask you don't ask me what aircraft I can fly. I won't tell you. You have to pay for that. So no. But I know I can fly. So I was supposed to show you the video of how an aircraft flies in this class, but I will send that video to you on the group for you to look at it. And that will be our assignment. You watch that video and form a note on it and send it to TBS training.tbsacademy@gmail.com. Well, that was for Tourism 101. The instructor for Tourism 101 will share. That one is in a slide form. So we'll just share the slide to the group for you. That will be, I have one more class today, airport emergency response. So after this class now, they will get that done. But my assignment for Aviation 101 is for you to watch the video I will send to you on how an aircraft flies and form notes on it. As in, you cannot form notes on a video you didn't watch, right? Maybe 7-minute video, and then form a note on it, and then send your notes, the content of your notes, the key points you got on it, send it to training.tbsacademy@gmail.com. Esther Ebenezer, training ID 031. Did you get that assignment now? To be submitted within the next 48 hours. Yeah. It's a free training. It's not a cheap training. It will cost you some hours. The next 48 hours, yes. So the Tourism 101 assignment 2 is in the next 48 hours. So that means you should have submitted Tourism 101 by 12 p.m. on Friday. And you should have submitted Aviation 101 by 4 p.m. on Friday. Thank you. Yes, Mukta Asmau Adeyemi, is Tourism 101 a general course for aviation students? Let me clarify this once again. This is aviation and tourism empowerment training. So Tourism 101 and Aviation 101 is a general course for everybody. And the goal is that you may think that you are a travel agent today, but you will still fly a plane, you don't know. So the purpose of you attending Aviation 101 is for you to know, do you really want to be a travel agent, or you want to be an air traffic control officer, or you want to be an airport management staff? That's the purpose. So Aviation 101 and there's 101 are compulsory courses. And let me round up. I have 3 minutes more. Admin, type out the assignments for Aviation 101. Watch the video on how an aircraft flies. Form your note on it. Submit in 48 hours. That is on or before 4 p.m. on Friday. So let me give you one more categorization of branches of what? Aviation, right? How many categories have I given you? Category 1, passenger aviation and cargo aviation. Category 2, aeronautic and non-aeronautic aviation. Category 3, I have explained it very well, so you don't need explanation. Commercial aviation and non-commercial aviation. There are more categorizations, but I will stop at that. I'll stop at that. I'm trying to edit in my head the content I want to give you, because from the time we defined aviation and we mentioned aircraft, I was supposed to teach you the division of an aircraft and the types and categories of aircrafts. But I decided not to, because I don't want to be tempted to take you into piloting. Once I start to teach you the types of aircrafts, the class is going to become, I will take you from fundamentals. So let me leave it there. So assignment number 2 for this class is they should do their brief research on types of aircraft. Types of aircraft. Or let me say types of commercial aircraft, not aircraft. So that some people will not be giving me hot air balloon in that assignment and glider. Types of commercial aircraft. Assignment 2. Please submit Aviation 101 assignment to, let me drop the email. You already have the email anyway, training.tbsacademy@gmail.com. So in closing this class, let me give you the types of aviation and specializations in the aviation. We've discussed branches of aviation. The branches of aviation is different from the types of aviation. Under the types of aviation, we have just 3 of them. Admin, are you jotting? You are also taking the class. Admin, you will pay. Please help me trap the assignment and send it to them. I just dropped the email address on the group. Don't worry, the assignment will be typed out on the paid participants group also. So 3 types of aviation. Number 1, commercial aviation. That is the aspect of aviation that is for profit making, revenue, generating revenue, ticketing and reservation, airlines. All right. Everything that airport, all the taxes and levies that you see in your ticket after the NUC, tax TX, TL, TK, UV, all those airport pricing codes is all under commercial what? Aviation. There is airport development levy, there is airport landing fees, there's airport surcharge, there's airport this and that. That's why that report said Abuja and Lagos airport are the most expensive airports in the world for airlines to do business, because they have maybe 32 type of fees that they will charge airlines. And it's the same thing in tourism too. The same thing also. Do you know how many taxes that hotels pay? Double, triple taxation. It's called commercial. There is commercial aviation. Now, there is another type of aviation that is strictly for private use. We call it general aviation. Write it down. So you must be aware of that. That is an aspect of aviation that is not too loud. That is where you have the Davidos of the world, that the Adeboyes of the world, that the Oyedepos of the world, who have their, either it's a private jet or a business jet. It's going to be either of the two. Take, for example, Donald Trump's jet is not a business jet. He doesn't use it for business. He uses it for private use. All right? But it's possible for Dangote to have a jet that doesn't fly Dangote around only, but it's also available for commercial purpose, for business trips. So when you say general aviation, you now branch it into two: private jets, business jets. So if you want to do a destination wedding in Atlanta, you can rent a private jet. It's not your own, right? But you can rent a private jet to go to Bahamas or Seychelles or Cape Verde for your destination wedding. You have participated in general aviation, but you have made use of a business jet. So the aviation type that deals with jets, not with airliners, not with the Boeings and the Airbuses of the world. You deal with the Gulfstreams, right? That is general what? Aviation. And finally, on the type of aviation, I hope I have not confused you. I have educated you, right? The final type of aviation and the most advanced, listen carefully, the most advanced, the most expensive, and the one that is scariest of all. You've not seen all the Boeings, you have not, you are joking. The most expensive, most advanced, and the scariest is military aviation. So in aviation, if this was an aviation fundamental class that was paid for, this is the part I'm supposed to now begin to tell you the different type of military jets we have. The F-35s, the F-15s, the bombers, the fighters. The warship aircrafts, the helicopter transporter, the helicopter that is a bomber, the helicopter that is used for reconnaissance and rescue. That's why it is what? The most advanced, most expensive, and the scariest. There are some scary designs you will see. If you go to Google now and type military aircraft, you'll be shocked. You will see some aircraft of shapes that look like UFOs, specially built. That is where diplomatic relationship, or in fact, the greatest achievement of Donald Trump as a president was that he sold more military planes than every other US president. It sold about 50-something fighter jets, F-35s and F-15s to Saudi Arabia. Yeah, US is the largest manufacturer of military aircraft, followed by Russia. Finally, for today, I must give you the specializations in aviation before we round up, so that you know where you want to fall in, you know where you belong. Messi Kawedo, I haven't been added to the paid group. Can't see anything. We are not sharing any slide for this class. This class is an interactive class, so there's no slide. If there will be any slide, I'll be sharing it with you. The slide I have promised to share with you is aviation terms and terminologies. Then admin Messi Kawedo said he has not been added to the paid group. So can we help out with that? Messi Kawedo, what's your training ID, please? Always make your requests while referencing your training ID. Very important. Admin, can you still hear me from your end? Check audio for me. Someone said he can't hear. Madam Maureen, your hand is raised. Do you have a question? Can you guys hear me? If you can hear me, can I have a raise of hand? Okay, all right. Thank you. Just doing sound check. Thank you very much. Madam Maureen, your hand is raised up. Do you have a question? Does anybody have any questions so far from what I've taught in Aviation 101 so far? If you have any question, please drop it. I will quickly rush the specializations for you. So get ready to write very fast. Number 1, piloting and air navigation. Piloting and air navigation. That is a specialization. Now, when I say specializations, I'm talking about Mr. Aliyu. I'm talking about career pathway in aviation industry now. And I'm going to give you just 10. Number 1, piloting and what's air navigation, because they go to, is that you are a pilot or you are a traffic controller, either of the two. So Mr. Enupre, that you were asking the other time that which field of aviation is metrology. Metrology is not a field of aviation, it's a specialization in aviation, and it's under piloting and air navigation, because you cannot understand air navigation without not taking care of weather. The greatest enemy of a pilot is weather. Number 2 is aeronautics and aeronautical engineering. Aeronautics and aeronautical engineering. When you are dealing with aircraft, but you are not into the engineering of it, you are in aeronautics, e.g., the people who design the cockpit of an aircraft. They are strictly IT people. They are not engineers in mechanical. Am I communicating with you now? Their engineering is not mechanical, like the person who built the landing gear of the aircraft or the wing of the aircraft. Am I communicating with you now? So the company that builds the aircraft wing, landing gear, the rudder, the fuselage, they are all in aeronautical engineering, because they have to manufacture. Yes.
Is it not, are they not in electrical engineering? Is it not still?
They are in electrical. but they are not in mechanical. Aeronautical engineering is more mechanical. They are into the structural manufacturing of aircraft. Hello? There is aeronautical engineering and there is aviation engineering. They are not the same. Aviation engineering is another specialization on its own. Aviation engineering is every aspect of engineering in the aviation industry except the aircraft. So the people who built the airports and the control tower, they are aviation engineers. The people who built the landing systems, the lights at an airport, who built the air bridge that we talked about, they are aviation engineers, but they are not aeronautic engineers because they are not involved in the structural manufacturing of an aircraft. Now, other people who do design of the aircraft, they are in aeronautics, not in aeronautical engineering. Because every part they design will still determine the safety of lives, right? So they are aeronautics too. Am I communicating? Now, the third specialization of aviation is, I've told you aeronautics, but don't forget there is astronautic aviation. Strictly for military aviation. That is the aspect of aviation that deals with space. So in astronautic engineering, you are not manufacturing aircraft, you are manufacturing spacecraft. Number, what are we now? Aviation management. Aviation what? Management. That's number what? Number 4. Number 5, airport operations and management. Airport what? Number 5. Number 6 now, right? Aviation fuel management. That is a specialization on its own. I said I was going to give you 10, right? So now put yourself inside now. Airline ticketing and reservation. It is a major specialization that without it and reservation. Without airline ticketing and reservation, the billions of dollars that has been spent on building that passenger plane will go to waste because the plane is not built for decoration. It's built to fly, and it's not built to fly empty. It's built to fly passengers. Am I correct? So therefore, airline ticketing and reservation is a major what? Specialization. But it is the most popular, but not the only one. When it comes to the commercial aspect, we started in that specialization with the engineering part, right? Now I've moved you into the what? Administrative and management parts, and now I brought you to the what? Commercial. If you look at the flow of that specialization, I started with the what? The engineering aspect, then I took you into the management and operational aspect, then I brought you to the commercial aspect. Now, all these specializations are dependent on each other. A pilot is as useless as an empty aircraft. The only time a pilot flies an empty aircraft is maybe a test flight. Nobody wants to burn aviation fuel carrying empty, flying empty. So a pilot is useless when there are no passengers. And who bring passengers to the airline? Travel agents. Am I communicating? So if you are a travel agent, you begin to look up to yourself as a professional in the industry. Your estimation of yourself must change. You are not just selling tickets. You are in a field of specialization. And that is why you must know your onions. You must understand that you are a part of a value chain. If you deliver poor services, you will accept responsibility for the blame. The same way, a travel agent is as useless as a canceled flight. Am I communicating here? You have booked a business class ticket. At the end of the day, the airline canceled the flight. Who will receive the hit? Is it the airline or the travel agent? It's the travel agent. Now, is it your fault that the airline canceled? No, but who will receive the blame? You. Why? You are interdependent on each other. And a flight can be canceled for so many reasons, whether mechanical fault or incompetence of airline management. Yes. Management incompetence can cause it. When the airline have refused to pay grand handlers the money they are owing them for 3 months, and the grand handler says, we will stop servicing your aircraft. We will not do turnaround for your aircraft, and they have refused to pay. And then the flight is on ground. Grand handlers refuse to do turnaround. That aircraft gets delayed. Why? Somebody is in the office, in the airline management, delaying processes and protocols that needs to be done. But they will send you a message. They will say that due to unforeseen weather. So I've mentioned 3 things that causes cancel flight, right? Weather, my time is up. Weather, mechanical faults, or management incompetence. So what point are we now on that specializations? Number 8. I have told you airline ticketing and aviation, right? Then there is airline financial management. Airline financial management. There is airline and aviation forecasting. These are people that write reports. They tell us what is going to happen in the industry in the next 5-6 years. Those are the people that are employed by IATA, ICAO, and other agencies. Their job is critical. So if you study data analytics, you have a space in the aviation industry. If you're an IT person, you have a space in the aviation industry. What number are we now? I'm mentioning number 10 now, right? Then that is aviation system experts. Aviation system experts. Those are the IT guys. Yes. That's where meteorology falls under, but not only meteorology. Don't forget, it is not weather forecasting. Weather forecasting is still under air navigation. This one is aviation and airline forecasts. Those are the people that give economic reports of what is happening in Africa in aviation. What they are forecasting, they are telling you that in the next 10 years, by 2037, aviation, the total number of international arrivals in Africa will be so billion. It's strictly communications and media. Do you understand? Come again? Economies. So there is no field that you find yourself that you cannot fit in. I'll give you 2 more that is very important that may surprise you, that I must mention. aviation law, and aviation medicine. And that's where I will end the class for this edition. So I've given you 12. Should be 12 now, right? Is it 11 or 12? 12. Did you get everything online? It's not aviation law and medicine. Aviation law is number 12. For those of you online, then aviation medicine, aviation law is number 11. Aviation medicine is number 12. There are two. Don't combine law and medicine. No, you didn't hear that from Captain. No, law and medicine does not align. No, there are two. There are two separate entities, two separate specializations. We have aviation law and aviation medicine. I studied international aviation law at postgraduate level. Yeah. There is no limit to whatever discipline you studied at your BSc level or HND level, you can fit in the aviation industry. Very, very, very sweet, interesting. So can you help me? Let's call out all because people online did not get everything. So let's roll it out one by one. Number one is what? Number one is piloting and air navigation. So if you are online and you did not get everything, listen now. Number one is piloting and air navigation. Number two is what? Aeronautics and aeronautical engineering. Number three is what? Astronautical engineering. That is space engineering. All right. Astronautical, people that build space shuttles. All right. People like Richard Branson that flies to Mars for tourism. Have you have forgotten? So don't leave that aspect out. Number three is what? Number four. Number four now. Aviation management. Number four is aviation management. Number five is what? Airport operations and management. They are not the same. Aviation management deals with managing everything that has to do with aviation. It can be in the airlines, it can be in the airports, it can be at the airspace management. All right. An aviation manager manages the entire operations. That is where fan officials, that is their specialization. Fan officials are not only responsible for the airport, they're only responsible for the airlines, the traffic control, the airspace, they manage the entire aviation industry of the country. Am I communicating here? But now, it's very good that I'm making this differentiation because people mix it up. People are mixing it up online, actually. Aviation management is different from airports management. Aviation management is the field for people that has responsibility to manage the entire aviation industry of the country. They deal with airports, airlines, ground handlers, airspace management, everything. That's FAN and the Federal Ministry of Aviation. People who work with those two organizations are aviation managers. Now, airport operations and management is strictly different because the management of Lagos Airport is completely different from management of Abuja Airport. In Lagos Airport, for example, Lagos has 4 terminals, 2 domestic terminals, 1 international terminal, and 1 cargo terminal. Am I correct? Now, the 2 domestic terminals, one is operated by FAN, which is government owned. Another one is operated by a private company, that's MM2, right? Am I correct? MM2 is privately operated. Yes, that's why you see that GAT Terminal 1 is not looking as good as MM2. Why? Because MM1 is still managed by FAN, while MM2 has been concessioned to a private company. And that is why you hear the word coming in. If you have been following aviation news in Nigeria, you must have been hearing Buhari's administration said it. Good administration said none of them have done it, that they want to concession our major airports to private companies to manage. Because the truth of the matter is that managing airports is not the business of government in most developed countries. Government cannot manage airports. Do you know why? Airport management requires making profits and returning the money back. You need a private business to do that. Only private businesses know how to receive profits and channel the profit back into the business. Government does not do that. Government collects money and pocket it. That was how Nigerian Airways finished. So in order to help that government operation, government management syndrome, that is why airports all over the world, mega airports, hand over they may have the ownership. Like this one, I'm teaching airport operations and management already. The operations of an airport and the ownership of an airport are not the same. You can be the owner of Lagos Airport, but you now allow XYZ company to manage the airport. Because the same way, the travel agency owner does not have to be the travel agency manager. Am I correct? Hello? Am I correct? There are many travel agency owners that they just sit down and they just give token for the manager to issue tickets when it's time to pay. Am I correct? They may not even know GDS. So airport operations and management is number what? On the list. Number 6 is what? Aviation fuel management. Very, very important. Airlines buy fuel in advance at a fixed rate so that the cost of, because fuel is an international commodity, they buy fuel before dollar will increase. It's another field. Don't let us go there. Number 7. Someone has actually listed it for them online. Airline ticketing and reservation. Number 8. Number 9. Number 10, aviation system expert. Those are the people. Hold on. Aviation system experts are the people that make sure that when you pay British Airways with your MasterCard, the money goes into British Airways account. It doesn't go into ACA's account. Recently, which airline was hacked recently before the pandemic? And one particular airline was hacked. Was it British Airways or American Airlines? And they stole the MasterCard details of millions of people. So these system experts are also in the banking field. They are also in other financial sector. And we have them in aviation too. All right. They are the one that make sure that the landing system are working. If not, if there are no system experts, hackers can hijack an aircraft. So the IT people, we have to give them their respect. So number 11 was aviation law. Number 12 was aviation medicine. So thank you everybody online for listing out the point for those who didn't get it. It is at this very auspicious moment that we'll round up Aviation 101. Have I bored you? All right. Thank you very much. So let me also say that if you have any question on whatever we have learned today at Tourism 101 or Aviation 101, feel free to use the WhatsApp group. The reason why we created the paid participant group is so that we have an exclusive experience there. So you have a right to still ask questions on that group and you will get response. Then don't worry, the assignment will be documented on the platform. See you. You've dropped one assignment. Thank you very much. So if you have registered for airport emergency response, meet me in your Zoom link now. Thank you very much. And see you tomorrow for tourism courses, starting with top packaging in the morning. If your class is top packaging, your class starts at 9. If your class is tour guiding, your class starts by 12. If your class is tourism blogging, your class starts by 3. So thank you very much, everybody. We are moving into airport emergency response class. Bye for now. Drop your questions on the WhatsApp group.